The trial of Robert Tellis, it continues on, and he had some very interesting testimony this last week. By the time you're watching or listening to this, there may already be a verdict as it is starting to wrap up. But we're going to examine some of this case because it has been fascinating to watch. Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent, chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, joining us to discuss this guy. And I know you've been watching some video. He's an odd duck.
Yeah, this is one of those cases where as soon as he took the stand, my first thought was, who's his defense attorney letting him do that?
Yeah.
It almost kind of struck me very much like Lori Del Vallo's defense
Mhm.
attorney that's like, "Hey, you want it? Have at it." All you're
Yeah.
gonna do is sink your own ship. So that was my first impression because as I'm watching it, and I had to only watch it in clips, Tony, and I know we're going to watch some clips
Yeah.
here in a second. Because I don't even know what your thoughts are on it, but I'll just, I had impressions of this, and I'm always going with what's my reaction and then what's causing my reaction. And
Mhm.
so my reaction was I had to keep turning it off.
Yeah.
And why? Well, I didn't find him likable.
Not at all.
That's not good if you're gonna put someone on the stand.
No.
And then we look at, well, what makes someone likable and unlikable?
Mhm.
And so one of the biggest things is authenticity,
Yeah.
genuineness, the ability to own your behavior and not try to prove everyone else in the world wrong around you.
Mhm.
Those are bad behaviors if you're trying to say, I'm innocent of this.
I know we use the term narcissist a lot because it feels like a lot of the people who make it this far and make it to the show are quite narcissistic
They're
personality
broken
disorder
toys.
individuals,
Yes.
not just tendencies. He's like the definition of it. I mean, he was trying to defend himself, then he got an attorney. I don't think his attorney agreed with what he's doing right now because he's not being questioned. It's an alibi defense. He's just up there sharing his narrative in any way he wants. The judge let him do this because the attorney basically said, "I want nothing to do with this. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to. I can't ask you these questions because I disagree with your answers, and it's not going to go anywhere." So he's up there on his own because he thinks that much of himself, that much of his story, and that people are just going to like it. Because gosh darn it, people like me. It
Yeah, I
is
know you got SNL
yeah.
on your mind.
He's got that kind of aura to him, and it's fascinating. It's a train wreck to watch, but the
Yeah.
more you watch him and the more you think of it from that perspective of this guy believes whatever he says is gold, and people should just accept it. And there's even a lot of weird um braggadocious moments in his testimony
Yeah.
which have nothing to do with the case.
No, it was really fascinating having him get up there, and the first things he does is he lays a pattern of his background. I mean, I got bored with him in like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's laying down his credibility of being so awesome. And first of all, it all starts out with me, 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 me. So
Mhm.
someone has died and a jury's judging you on whether you're guilty or innocent. And the first thing you want to do is not make it about you. You
Mhm.
need to make it about the victim. You need to make it about a jury. You need to make it about everyone else but yourself. You have to be contrite. You have to show remorse. Not that you did it, but remorse for the victims in this, right? And then the other thing he said at the very beginning of this, which I found fascinating, as then he laid it all out, was I've been in jail. Me, me, me. I've been in jail a long time sitting about this. I had a lot of time to think and come up with a lot of schemes as to what I think. And so
Yes.
and then he lays out this really complicated to me. Remember, if it's complicated, it's probably not right.
Sure. And the jury's
Because
not going to get it either.
no, he lost me, and I'm trying to understand him. I tuned him out. So he actually says, I've been sitting in jail with a lot of time to think and come up with a really good reason as to why someone else did this. And then I looked up the stats for the number of times. Again, it's hard to find a hard number on this, but number of times that actually people are framed, the percentage of it.
Mhm.
I think what was it, 5 to 10%, and that's the Innocence Foundation. The people are
The
trying
Innocence
to,
Project, yeah.
yeah, Project Innocence trying to acquit, or got retrial of
Yeah.
other
Peterson.
moron. Yeah,
Yeah.
Peterson out there in California. It's 2 to 5% of convictions were framing. So he's battling the odds against him. And then when you have DNA involved.
And that's not all, folks.
I know.
We have DNA, we have video of surveillance footage from multiple places. We have all the evidence at his house. We have his digital footprint of what he was looking up and searching for. I mean, this would be one hell of a frame job if it's a. I mean, it's just too far out there to even be in the realm of it even being a physical possibility of being a frame job.
And then he puts himself on the stand
Yeah.
and has become extremely unlikable because he has a massive superiority complex. He thinks he's better and smarter than everyone else in that entire room, even arguing with the judge.
Yeah, it clearly comes across. Let's start taking a look at some of the testimony of Robert Tellis here on the stand, and this is him, saying hi to the jury and establishing that nice rapport that he's trying to go for. Let's take a look.
So please tell us. Begin with your story, sir.
Thank you, sir. First of all, and excuse me, I'm obviously a little nervous. This is it's a day I've been waiting for nearly 2 years. This thing's been kind of a nightmare, frankly. And again, I want to thank you for being here. And right now, I want to say unequivocally, I'm innocent. I didn't kill Mr. Gurman. And I've got a lot to share with you all. There's been a lot of testimony, and my concern is making sure that you hear what I think about all these things, and what would the concerns that I have with some of these things that have been brought up. So during my testimony, I'm going to be sharing opinions. I know that folks like Zach Schilling and Mr. Mogg shared their opinions with you, and these opinions were, almost, I guess you could say, argumentative in a sense, right? Basically, Zach Schilling said, well, I'm an expert on shoes, and I think that those shoes that the killer was wearing are the same ones that I've seen the Shadas wearing all the time, right? So he's arguing that he's an expert, and you should believe him. And I think the same goes for Mr. Mogg. Right, so I think that when I share an opinion with you, someone might say it's argumentative, and when I say something, I guess I specifically mean the state. But I think that when I share an opinion with you, that's my right, and it's your right to decide whether or not you agree with my opinion or not, whether you want to adopt my opinion or not. So I'm just hoping that I'm not stopped from sharing with you what I have to say.
My concern. No one does know, actually.
My
But
opinion, my opinion, my
yeah,
opinion, my opinion, my
like
opinion.
to,
You need to hear
yeah,
my opinion. Me,
yep,
me.
yep. And my concern is that you hear
You're
my
a moron.
narrative.
I'm going to tell you
Yeah,
what. You're a moron. I'm going to tell you what I think.
exactly. And expert opinions, they're right in line with my opinion. They're on the same scale, even though they're experts. My opinion should be weighed just as heavily. Thoughts on that?
I don't know why the judge allowed it.
Yeah. Other than I think they're like, let's give him more rope. He's going
Yeah,
to hang himself no matter what.
Tony, I'd love to be behind the scenes of some of these cases where it looks like they're saying that, hey, let this guy hang himself. We think he's guilty, so let him prove it. I'm just,
Yeah.
I, he is doing everything completely wrong for himself in this, and he's another great example in life of. I've mentioned it numerous times in life. If you want to be really prosperous and successful, aside from the fact this guy's being accused of killing someone, so and I got to make sure I apologize for any flippancy I had, because that's really at the root of this is
Sure.
someone lost their life tragically, and there's a lot of victims in this in every case we cover. But here's someone that is so focused on self that it's just it's just unbelievable what defense is allowing him to do. But again, if they think he's guilty, maybe they do. Because I've never been a defense attorney, but maybe they're saying, "Hey, go hang yourself because you're a moron."
Yeah. I mean, the defense itself really, his defense attorney really didn't have very strong arguments of much of anything when they were up there just the other day. So, and they weren't going to go down the road. It seems of what Tellis wants to testify to, because it doesn't make any sense.
No.
And his narrative of what happened or didn't happen. again, none of it really adds up. And nor does he, in his testimony, address any of the glaring issues. He's just kind of skirts around everything that really has nothing to do with the case itself. We're going to hear about his love of super glue and gluing his fingers back together. About how he has 3 cars because somehow that is relevant in this.
I
Um,
know it.
it's nuts.
When someone, again, when you're battling for your life, you want to be compelling.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah,
not compelling. He's boring, and he's self-centered and boring. And again, it's amazing that he thinks in his own mind. Again, to your point on narcissism, he thinks in his own mind how witty he is.
yeah,
But he lost that jury. If I was sitting on that jury, I'm giving them credit for being a lot smarter than me, which they probably are. I was done with him in 2 minutes.
yeah.
He bored the living tears out of him, and he's not compelling. He's not he's not acknowledging anyone but himself in this entire process. And
Yeah.
that's not compelling. That's not likable. That's not owning it. He's trying to present himself as being infallible,
Mhm.
and you're accused of murder.
Well, I mean, he also talks about his healing process in this, where for some reason the super glue made the healing take somehow he magically heals faster than other people. I mean, it's just it's the epitome of narcissism, and I think he just believes it all. Quite honestly, I think he
Oh, he
believes he didn't
does.
even kill the guy. I think in
He
his
does.
mind it wasn't him. I think he somehow convinced himself that, and because he says it, others should just believe it. That seems to be how he's operated for most of his adult life. Let's take a look. This is a piece where don't feel bad if you're confused because I'm confused too. But this is him trying to uh, trying to talk about how he was framed. And
Oh yeah.
again, doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's take a look.
Mhm.
When Mr. Gurman was murdered, a couple of things happened. One, the new public administrator did not finish acting on any of the investigation in Rajab Abdul. There's been no activity. So any of the investigating that I was going to do is not being done at this point. And the complaint I made with the Nevada Real Estate Division, I got documentation that it closed in November of 2022. And so, I believe that this was, I mean, it'd be quite a coincidence if, the fact that Mr. Irma was killed and was put on me, that they just had a serendipitous benefit from that all these things that were coming to a head for them, just, it's done. No repercussions, no nothing.
Follow any of that?
I got no idea what he said, and he doesn't either. That's the thing. He doesn't either.
Yeah.
He's grasping at words, trying to look compelling with the words he's throwing out there. It's I know we've seen on both sides in politics these days. This is the epitome of word salad. This guy is a
Yeah.
word salad.
Very
I
much.
can't understand. I have no idea what the hell he's saying.
No, I mean, I from what I'm gathering, and I could be wrong. Someone could be like, "No, it's this." I think it's up for debate to anybody. Is something to the effect of because he wasn't reelected and he couldn't keep doing his job, so he wasn't the savior over there doing all that. It made sense for the insurance company to put a hit out on the reporter, so and then frame him. It's like, where are we going with this?
So here's a fun little experiment we can do with this one, Tony.
Yeah,
Let's look at just a couple cases that we've covered over our years together now, right?
yeah.
So, because we're going to see how simple to understand these motivations are. And then we'll see how simple to understand this one is. So, we've covered probably 2 or 3 murder for hires.
Mhm.
These murder for hire cases involve kids, custody battle, someone's angry, someone hires someone to kill someone. Okay. Lori Daybell Vallow and Chad.
Mhm.
Money, sex, kids in the way.
Yep.
All right. We have poor little Melissa Soto.
Mhm.
Kid,
Madeline Soto. Yeah.
Madeline Soto, Maddie Soto. We have kid, maybe sex trafficking, pedophile,
Mhm.
kill.
Yep.
But you see the pattern here. Every single case, it's pretty clear that we have a motivation of either sex, revenge, and what's the other one?
Power.
Power, philosophy, all these motivations. And then when you're looking at this, look how complicated he's trying to make this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at just him, power, control, retribution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's trying to spin it away from that simple explanation as to why it's not. See what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And he, the way that Robert Tellis, allegedly handled this really was not that complicated. And very stupid as well.
Yep.
He dresses up in the most like god awful outfit one would wear to commit a murder. It just draws attention. I mean, if you're a narcissist, you want attention, and that clearly didn't even like stop him in murder. I mean, murderers would usually try to, wear black or something that's inconspicuous. He wears blaze orange, like what hunters wear, and a giant hat, and the Nikes, the cheap Nikes that everyone knows him from wearing. He has a specific walk to himself at his gait, and the evidence is all in his house.
Yeah. So this is what I technically call his first rodeo.
Yeah.
It wasn't, this is someone who is on a behavior pattern of bullying. I mean, you even heard in the courtroom, he's trying to be soft as a bully. He's trying to bully everyone into believing his line of crap.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not presumed innocent until proven guilty, but what he's spewing doesn't make sense.
No.
So I think there was a triggering moment. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of a massive premeditation for whoever's in the video. That's a good way to put it. For whoever's in that video and wherever this evidence lies, whoever gets pegged on, not a lot of super premeditation, because anyone with 3 marbles rolling around upstairs would do better. If in the Koberger case, regardless if it's him or not, that was a little bit better planned out than this.
Yes. Yes.
And that was crap.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Let's take a look at some of his testimony. This is him talking about his finger injury, and because he says it must be true. Let's take a look.
While I was being self-represented, I attempted to seek these surveillance videos that included the video of me washing my car, or videos of me washing my cars. The judge granted the production of that.
Sustained.
However, I never received the videos.
The objection was sustained.
Oh, okay. So
The motion to strike is granted.
I believe the videos show that I didn't have the finger injury. If you think about it, if somebody has a serious finger injury, would they be washing? Objection argument. I mean, I would not be washing.
Testify about your own experience.
Sure. Your Honor. I believe I would not be washing my 3 vehicles if I had a serious finger injury. And as you've probably already gathered, you're going to hear about the fact that I was at the gym at around noon, and I believe I would not be working out with a serious finger injury.
I believe I wouldn't be, not I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be. He's
using word modifiers on his own behavior.
And he has 3 cars.
Why I turn him off? He's
3
horrible.
Cars. Yeah, and not to car. He had to correct the cars, and then at the end, he got quantified it as well. His 3 cars. He was washing his 3 cars.
And hearing all the objections coming in and the judge come in, all it sounds like to me is boy, I don't like being this flippant with it, but it sounds like they keep saying you suck. Try again. And he's not listening.
No, he's not capable. Here he is.
And he's making it sound like it's there. See, you can hear his victimization in his own mind. I'm a victim.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a victim. Not the person that died. I'm the victim here.
And I believe he thinks he is a victim. We'll hear it in this, and we're going to hear it also when he talks about his arrest. This is him talking about, using super glue to reattach his finger. Let's take a look.
So when I cut my finger that night, I had used scissors to cut, the super glue bottle had actually, the tip had dried. Sometimes when I have an open super glue bottle, the tip dries and I have to cut the tip. Right? So I had to grab scissors in order to do that. And I inadvertently left blood on the scissors that I forgot to clean off. But once I cut the tip off the super glue bottle, I super glued the tip of my finger together. I believe my healing process is such that I would not have had such a nasty injury for 5 days. Again, I can't speak to anyone else's healing process, but that is what it is.
You mean the human healing process? So we all have the same.
I believe. The
I
word
believe
modifier,
I
I
can
believe.
fly.
It's like, this is my conjecture about myself. I mean, it's really bad.
And no one's asking about how blood got on the scissors either. It's not even part of the case. It's like
I know. More
I
random details
no, like I
about
do
nothing.
believe you use super glue to fix your injury. I don't believe it was from making chicken fried rice.
And I also liked how he brought up something that that the prosecution hasn't even brought up yet. You're probably going to hear this about me, but it's not this. I'm like, why don't you shut up?
He can't help
Just-
himself. This next piece here, this is what really hit it home for me of him thinking he is a victim. He's talking about when he was arrested and just how difficult that was. And it really wasn't anything crazy about his arrest, other than he had tried to hurt himself. But it was just poor me. Take a look at his testimony on this angle of it.
The search warrant was obtained, and I got pulled over early in the morning on September 7th, 2022. The officers came at me with their guns drawn, yelling at me. And I was basically coming from dropping off my stepson at school, getting ready to go home to pick up one of my other daughters and then take her to school. And so they just, out of nowhere, 3 police cars just run up on me from the back, and I just scared. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, yeah, they basically yell at me to just stand. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they're yelling at me. They patted me down. They handcuffed me. They threw me in the back of a patrol car. I asked them what I did. I asked them, can I call somebody? Can I do anything? I mean, I did this for over an hour and a half. Just tell me what's going on. Tell me what's, I mean, obviously at this point, I had my suspicions because of like the whole, all that thing. But they wouldn't tell me what was going on. They just left me there. And the whole time, my family didn't know where I was. As far as I know, my daughter was expecting for me to come home and take her to school. I was distraught already by that point. It was my understanding that if I went to the Summerlin Area Command for them to just take this DNA and to take photographs of me, that I would be allowed to just come right back to my vehicle and go on my way.
He's one of the shiftiest defendants I've seen. It's hard to keep him in frame because he's always going back and forth, and I found that to be a little bit odd. But then again, all victim. It's all him on that one.
Yeah, it's a pacifying move to pacify stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very similar to self-soothing, comforting.
Sure. Yeah.
Because he's under stress.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to fabricate on the fly, man.
God.
So you get word salad like that which is, I find it interesting because I would have thought, since he stated at the very beginning that he had a lot of time to think about this and basically come up with his ulterior universe theory, that he would have been more solid on it. But the fact he's such a word salad on everything he keeps saying says he really, which also, deciphering truth from deception is very, very difficult. Even the best people in the world are only 50% accurate. I never, ever try to do it because you're always just flipping a coin on truth versus deception. But when you are in general, when you're recounting factual events, they have a very even, consistent flow.
Mhm.
You can actually, if you have someone both orally uh, state it as well as in writing, every sentence they say will have a very specific timeline. Like from everything they say or write down, there'll generally be about 5 minutes between this event, 5 minutes between this event, 5 minutes between, and it'll have a sequence to it that'll make a lot of sense. And when stating it numerous times, it'll be very consistent. We haven't seen any consistency with how he's describing anything
No.
that he's doing. It is all over the place, which means his mind is all over the place, which means he's pulling it out of the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're pulling it out of the air, he's not remembering real events. He's trying to, and this is when someone's trying to deceive someone. We don't ever intentionally lie. We try to tell the truth. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to piece together truthful things he knows into a storyline that makes sense that he can describe. He's
Mhm.
not necessarily lying. He's piecing together things in a sequence that's contrived
Mhm.
with facts that are real. That's why it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And because so you see it, he's manufacturing this entire timeline because it's all over the place.
I thought it was going to be bad. I didn't think he was going to be this bad on the stand.
Yeah, me too. This is the worst I think I've ever seen.
It is. It's yeah. This is going to be like for the highlight reel at the end of the year of the worst testimony
Yeah.
of any case.
This goes into here's exactly what not to do if you're
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.